Hi everyone, Rebecca the Frugal Resinista here. Today I'm going to show you guys a quick free-form geode. You've seen one other video of me doing this before, and this time I'm going to show you another way that I do my edges, so a different edging technique. And we'll keep this one pretty much fast so that you guys can just follow along with what I'm doing visually and not have to listen to me talk too much. So I'm going to use my glue gun. This is a silicone mat for making pie crust is what it is. So I'm going to put my glue gun directly onto the mat. I'm going to do multiple layers of it, and I'm starting with all these little crystals. I'm going to stick those down the way I want them into the middle with glue underneath them first and then glue over the top of them to completely seal it so that when I pour, the resin will not leak through into the center. So here we go. Okay, I ended up putting 4 layers of glue around the edge to make it as tall as this inside edge, and then I added 1 layer along the bottom on the inside that will be covered by resin eventually, just to make sure that nothing leaked out. I have just mixed my first layer of resin that I'm going to pour. As always, I am using Stone Coat Countertops Quick Coat, and it's got about a 15-minute working time, and I'm already a couple minutes in because I just mixed it. My bottom layer is just going to be a color gradient. I'm not going to try to make it perfect in terms of it all fading into each other, but it's just going to be the underneath part, so you'll see bits of it here and there when I pour the other layers on top of it. So what I'm going to do is, rather than put this in a whole bunch of different cups and everything, I'm actually going to just start with white. And then I'm going to add progressively darker colors the farther out that I go. Before I mix the rest and use my Pearl X powdered pigment for the darkest color on the edge, I'm going to hit this with the blowtorch, and then I'm going to add some stones because the stones will make the color spread further. And I don't want to mix too much to go around the outside edge for the first layer. So I will see how much I need first, and then I'll pour that last part. Alright, that is the first layer of my pour. I might add a little bit more of this sand because it tends to sink into the resin and disappear a little. I like the color gradient I have. I have quite a bit of space still. I think I can get at least 2 more layers of pour in here before I go over the edges anywhere. I don't see any really bad leaks. There's one tiny one right here starting to come out a little bit, but it's small enough that I believe I will be able to just either sand that down or just use my razor blade and cut it off when I need to. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to let this set for probably 15 to 20 minutes just so it's not movable anymore, and then I can actually go ahead and pour the next layer right on top. I just want it to be set enough that it doesn't mix with my next layer of color. It's been about 45 minutes since I poured this, and I've touched it very gently and it's very tacky, but it's not going to now mix with the colors that I'm going to pour into the next layer. Real quickly, I'm going to tell you what I'm using. I am using some deep purple sparkles that I will mix with clear. I'm using Apple Barrel White from Walmart. I'm using Pearl X powdered pigments in Reflex Violet. Apple Barrel Petunia Purple. This was 50 cents at Walmart. Apple Barrel Lilac Mist, 50 cents at Walmart. And I am using Testors Enamel Paint that is used for model airplanes in metallic gold. And I like this because it floats to the top. When you pour it, part of it'll stay, it'll still stay a gold color, but part of it'll float to the top, just like if you've seen people use spray paint in their resin. But the nice thing is that you don't have to buy a big thing of spray paint, and you don't have to try to spray into a cup. This pours a lot easier, and it's only $2. I'm going to mix my resin, pour it into these cups, and speed it up again and show you guys pour part 2. All right, that is layer 2. I am super excited about how this is looking. I'm going to let this again harden for probably about half an hour, and then I'm going to come back and do some painting on the edges, and I'll show you that, and then the final thing we'll do is our top clear coat. All right, I'm back. The next thing I'm going to do is take this same Testors enamel paint that I mixed in with some of my resin. It is floating to the surface now, which is gorgeous. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm actually going to paint the outside of my glue and up around the edge. I'm doing this before the final coat because I want to be able to get down over the edge, kind of into the geode without painting the resin itself. So I'm going to paint around the outside first, and I'll kind of get the inside around here, and then I'll have to flip the whole thing so I can see to do it in reverse. So here we go. All right. I have no doubt that I have missed a few spots, especially underneath, but the purpose of this was to just get enough of the gold over the edges that when I pour my clear coat, it will come up the sides and the gold will be under there so I don't accidentally paint on the clear coat. I will then, when this is completely dry, clear coat and all, flip this over and make sure I get the bottom edges. I'm going to let this sit again because the enamel paint takes a little time to dry, and then I will come back and pour my clear coat. I've waited about half an hour, and I just want to show you guys how quickly and wonderfully this quick coat dries. There are a couple spots where still might feel the teeniest bit tacky, but the grand total of time in this thing is about 2 hours so far, and it's already solid enough that I just signed my name on it. I'm going to draw just a few lines with my acrylic pen. We'll see how it goes. I haven't found any tutorials on how to use these acrylic pens, so I just kind of have made up the way I do it. And what I try to do is to draw for as long as possible without lifting the pen. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to, but I like to try to do that as much as I can to get a good line. My hands are very shaky when I do this, and honestly, I don't mind. That's totally fine because when we're doing it, we want to have some lines that are kind of jagged in places and not completely smooth. So I'll speed this up and we'll draw some lines. All right, I don't think I need to add too many lines. This is already kind of busy and it looks fabulous. I am going to mix my clear resin. I am going to have my tiny gold stones and my bigger clear glass stones kind of on standby because I want to have a lot of this look really flat and glassy, but I definitely want my stones to be sticking out, and I feel like once I do the top coat, at least all of this gold stone is going to get pretty covered. So those will be ready, and we'll mix some resin and we'll finish pouring this. This is finished. I'm so excited with how it turned out. I'll give you guys a close-up in a second. The white sand right in here, I still need to knock a bunch of that off, but I don't want to do that while anything's even remotely wet because it could just stick in and cloud things up. So I'm going to have to wait till I peel this all up to get all of that sand off. I can kind of do a tiny bit, but I definitely can't get very much off without really moving things around. As always, thank you guys so much for watching my channel, watching my videos, and subscribing. I very much appreciate it. If you would like to, you can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram as the Frugal Resinista. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to do so. Thank you and have a great day.